John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday and welcome into the Fantasy Alarm Game Day live stream. I almost said pre-show, but that would not be what this is. It's 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. Keith, I know it's middle of the day out on the West Coast. As you can see, not John Impemba along with me today. Keith Eister joining. You can follow him on the old X machine at EYS819 DFS. Keith, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Not too much. Last minute fill in here, but we're primed and ready to go. Nice little slate here. Lots of injury news as always, but ready to break it down with you.
There's no injuries in the NBA.
There's
never news.
No unannounced late scratches. That never happens.
Nothing. Never anything going on in the NBA. Again, happy Wednesday. Do have a 9-game slate going on today. Even FanDuel and DraftKings, they did the shaking hands meme and they said, let's just do 9. We don't need to separate our slates, right? Let's
nice.
Yes. Unity is nice. Everyone should practice some of that. Initial takeaways from the slate. Obviously, we had some news in Cleveland today. Charlotte news we got last night. I would say, just looking at the landscape of the slate, the center position is going to be the hottest talked about position of the day, because from top to bottom, it's loaded. And I'll pull up the slate right now so we can get going there. Again, 9 games. We are not, nope, that's not the one. We're going to get this eventually. Here we go. There we go. Click the correct buttons and everything's okay. I would say center is the hot talking point of the day, but we do have just overall spends. Nikola Jokic, Victor Wembanyama, Cade Cunningham. Those are the 3 players currently over 10K on tonight's slate. If you guys are new, thank you for stopping by and listening. Drop a like, drop a subscribe. We go live every day, 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. We also do the pre-show the night before. You can watch that, obviously, leading up to this show Monday through Friday as well. So appreciate you guys for stopping by. We go position by position. So let's hop in. I see some people in the chat already. Justin, I don't see your message. I just see a little square emoji. So, square to you too. Roly Poly dropping in. There's some fries or popcorn. He's got his popcorn ready. There some popcorn better than other. I found out recently bagged popcorn, like not like every bagged is fine, but like the ones that you would put in a microwave, like the pre-made stuff, the worst thing I've ever had eaten in my life, possibly. Maybe I got a bad bag. Blessings, Des. Blessings to you as well. Sasha stopping in from Sydney, Australia, as always. Appreciate the support. I can't imagine what time it is without knowing my history of like times around the world. It's probably not a normal time for us. So salute to you, Sasha. Pause. Des, yes, I did type in chat that said coming. Grow up, Des. Grow up. I'm just kidding. It's fine. Des also, who changed the picture from one message to the other, says, I like this slate. Yep, I do too. Sean, ready to redeem himself. That lineup that doesn't have Anthony Davis. Well, he might score as many points as he did last night as he does tonight, because it was about 0. RKS, good luck tonight. Good luck tonight to you too, sir. We're going to help you win. Keith and I are going to start diving into this slate. So let's get going. Point guard position. Up at the top, Cade Cunningham, Tyrese Maxey on the second leg of a back-to-back, James Harden, 94. We can include Scotty Barnes here at 93, Kyrie Irving, $9,000. Keith, if you're just looking at the top tier of point guard, is there anything that sticks out to you?
I mean, Maxey's usage rate has just been absolutely off the charts here. Philly shorthanded again. He's basically the guy there. So he's the one that jumps off the page. Cunningham, a bit of a down game in his last one against Cleveland. Tough matchup. Has a much better matchup here against Indy. I think the ownership on him is going to look really good because Maxey is right there near him in price. Cade went for like 50 plus in 3 of his last 4, just that last matchup against Cleveland where he struggled a little bit. But Cade as a lone tournament option is really intriguing to me in this matchup against Indy. Harden's fine. I think he looks really good. Barnes has been playing really good. He's got small forward eligibility as well, though. So I think you're probably playing him at small forward. Like we're going to want to jam in if you're playing on DK, you're probably jamming in 2 centers. So positional flexibility is going to be key here. Barnes with that small forward eligibility. We'll talk about him there. Let's see here. Brunson looks good. That game, the Knicks and Nuggets game, looks really good with a very high total, very close spread. That looks like a game environment we're going to want to target. Lots of value out there. So more people are flocking to value than they are game environment, I would say. Brunson's ownership looks really strong in a really solid game environment.
Yeah, nobody really getting like up here, Brunson and up, getting much ownership. Just Scotty, who obviously you mentioned has the positional eligibility, so naturally he's going to have ownership. And Harden. Harden's the only one the only other point guard in this range really getting any ownership. So I agree. I think Cade's a good tournament play. I think Brunson's a great tournament play as well. When we go down, we'll leave Mitchell for shooting guard. We can talk about him there. De'Aaron Fox is about the 5th highest rostered point guard of the day. Does that intrigue you? You know, the obviously he just didn't make shots for a few games, and he made shots, and hey, suddenly he's $8,000 for no reason at all. Is he traded before this game is over, or do we think he completes the game and it's a pretty good spot overall?
The trade rumors obviously concerning and adds a little bit of risk, but I think it also adds a little bit of upside as well.
Yes.
Like, are they showcasing him? Could he play 40 minutes in this spot? I think the answer to that is absolutely. The matchup against Philly without Embiid is phenomenal. Like, they're just lacking so much rim protection in Philly, and we know Fox can get to the cup. I am extremely intrigued by an $8,000 De'Aaron Fox.
I can't believe you just disrespected Adem Bona like that after he blocked after he blocked 2 LeBron Jameses last night. Only one in the history of the NBA. No one else has ever done it, you know?
I had not heard that stat. That is actually impressive. Add it to the long list of LeBron achievements.
Right. Well, he blocked 2 LeBron. He blocked Bronny and LeBron last night.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, he was the first one to ever do it. So that goes down in the history books. Adem Bona, etched in history. But I agree. I think De'Aaron's a great play. 8,000, is this the cheapest he's been? Has he been under 8,000 this year? No. So this is the cheapest price he has been all year long on DraftKings. Yeah, that's all you really need to know about De'Aaron Fox. Let's go sub 8K. I've been playing Josh Giddey a lot lately. I know there's no Levine. I know, but Kobe White went through shoot around today, expected to be back, and he got benched the other day, 27 minutes in a game that had 250 implied points. Tough to get to. McCollum's tough to get to with everything going on with Zion and all the usage that Zion's soaking up. I think Murray is interesting to your point about that game. Monk, Poole. A lot of people get into Jordan Poole. This is your chalk, like mid-tier point guard. He's about 23% right now. Would you be over, under, or about even with the field at 23%?
I think about even with the field on Jordan Poole. This is one of those like gross games in real life, but for fantasy purposes, it's an outstanding game.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
We know Washington's one of the best matchup, probably the best matchup in the entire league. Toronto also does not play any defense at all. So, like, we're going to play some Washington pieces with their injuries. Jordan Poole as the run back, hoping that if this game stays close, we could see 240, 250 points in this one. I think Washington plays really fast, which will speed up this game. Like Toronto's dealing with injuries, so we're jamming in Toronto pieces already. I love Jordan Poole on the other side of that, even though he's grabbing some ownership today. Definitely interested.
Yeah, both teams top 9 in pace, both teams bottom 6 in defense. So
yeah, there you go.
That's like the holy grail, right? Of like when you're talking matchups. So yeah, I think Jordan Poole is the one that stands out the most to me. hat tip to Jamal Murray. If I was wearing a hat, I would tip it to Jamal Murray. I think he's been playing like 40 minutes a night, which I think is going a little bit overlooked. In competitive games, we're getting 40 Jamal Murray minutes. So I am a big fan of Jamal Murray. I'm assuming this is Justin's paying homage to you, Keith, with the Iceman. Justin in the chat with also with a mohawk in his picture, I think. Shout out to the Justin Carlucci mohawk.
I've seen that picture for about 6-7 years probably, so he needs an update there.
Okay, so this is an old picture because last time I saw Justin there was no mohawk, unless we've updated since then. Maybe bring mohawk back. That's what we're saying here, Justin. Bring it back.
Justin is the man, though. Shout out to him for sure.
Shout out to Justin. Shout out to Albert. Albert is in chat. Albert is always just dropping in, saying hello, and then just watching. Justin's in here saying, let's go to you, Justin. Let's win tonight. You've been on a roll. DePrince is laughing. DePrince, what's so funny, bro? I don't get it. There's nothing funny here. We're two serious guys having a basketball chat. Power, can't wait to see Levine join Wemby at the deadline. I don't think Levine goes. We'll see. I don't think that's where he heads up, but we'll see.
Milwaukee, maybe. I've heard
that would be my guess.
Milwaukee. Yeah,
that would be my guess as well. I think the Bucks outright lost to Portland yesterday. I know second leg of a back-to-back, but they need people. They need a wing scorer. I think that makes a lot of sense. Let's go down. Anything else in the mid-tier at point guard stand out, or should we just skip this and go to the obvious value play of the day and talk about him?
I just want to shout out Malik Monk really quick. He's found a ceiling frequently. He's very low owned. That'd be my tournament special in this range.
Agreed. And when he's feeling it, I mean, we saw a couple games ago he has 20 shot upside. Maybe not as many minutes typically as everyone else, but also there's been some foul trouble and blowouts attached to his name lately. So I agree. Let's just go. We'll go down. We can just skip all this other stuff. I don't think there's much that we need to talk about, but we do need to talk about Ty Jerome. He is currently the highest projected rostered player of the day for good reason. They are down Darius Garland. They are down Karis LeVert. They are down Dean Wade. They are down Isaac Okoro. 3 of those guys could be starting on this team. 2 definitely start every game, Dean Wade and Darius Garland. And we've seen when Ty Jerome is extended, Ty Jerome is a hooper. I personally am just eating this chalk and moving on today. What say you?
I agree with you. Especially we've seen Cleveland do some weird things, assuming I think he's going to start in this spot, but maybe he doesn't. And then it becomes a little bit more dicey. If he's in the starting lineup, you can pencil in at least 25 minutes, I would say.
Yes.
And like you mentioned, he's an awesome per minute producer when he's out there. So I think he's just like a lock button type of play if he is in the starting lineup. If you want to get really weird in large field tournaments and fade him, I think Craig Porter Jr. is the guy that you're looking to as the replacement. Oops. Maybe Jerome rolls an ankle or something.
Not KPJ.
What's that?
Not KPJ. I clicked KPJ. Not wrong Porter Jr.
Yeah, I mean, this is deep tournament only, but if you're trying to get around the Jerome chalk, I think Porter Jr. would have to succeed if Jerome fails. So if I was fading Jerome in a lineup, it would probably be Craig Porter.
I think that there is definitely, you said what I think too happens or could happen. Cleveland is weird, and there's always a chance that they don't start Ty Jerome. We have seen it twice. Ty Jerome has averaged 28.5 actual points per game in those 2 starts. So, if he's in there, like you said, it's just lock button, move on, and just decide elsewhere where you're going to be different. Because, you don't need to, be, really different, here. They have 117 implied points. He has a really good usage rate. He's a fantasy point per minute player without these players. So, I'd expect him to start personally. I think they could go Porter. Maybe they do the Donnie Mitch point guard thing. But
that's what I'm concerned about. Mitchell at point guard, and then they slide someone like Niang into the starting lineup, or even if Sam Merrill is still questionable, right?
Yeah, he got the midday illness downgrade too. So
if Merrill is out also, I'd block button Jerome no matter what. Even if he doesn't start, I think he's a lock.
Agreed. And I think like a lot of the reason I skipped most of the rest of the point guard tier is because he's $4,400 and it's just hard to pass on. We're getting some news here. Andrew Nembhard ruled out. Ben Mathurin ruled out. I am assuming with those two guys out, it is a simple Ben Shepherd and Aaron Nesmith in type of situation for Indiana. Let's just circle back to Halliburton quickly because it's down 2 starters. Anything that would intrigue you about Nembhard and Mathurin missing that would put you more onto Halliburton?
Yeah, it is a nice boost for him. Like you mentioned, though, like we're going to use so much of our point guard ownership on Jerome in that situation that it's going to be tough to get to some of these other point guards. I do have interest in Halliburton. I think it's interesting. We were just talking about if you want a pivot off of Jerome, TJ McConnell is sitting there. Does he play 24 minutes in this spot? Maybe. If he does, he's incredible. But maybe he only plays 18, and that's a little bit more dicey. So I have interest in McConnell as a Jerome pivot now. So maybe I play 90% Jerome and a little bit of McConnell. But I think the upside for McConnell is improved by Nembhard missing. I don't have a ton of interest in Nesmith. He hasn't played over 20 minutes yet this season, I don't believe. Nope, just looking. So I think
just over 20 the last game he played. Just over.
Yeah, 20. So maybe they push him to 22, 24 max in this spot, but I would be interested if I knew he could get full run. I don't think he can. So no interest there. I think Halliburton and McConnell are the two biggest benefactors.
Yeah, TJ McConnell this year, no Nembhard and Mathurin. He has a 26% usage rate, which is a very good number. And he's well over a fantasy point per minute as well. So I do think that that is a 1.16 fantasy points per minute for TJ McConnell with sans Nembhard, sans Ben Mathurin. So interesting. 1.16 is basically second on the team behind Halliburton. So I agree on that on the McConnell front. I still lean Jerome if we're getting the start. But like you said, if you're divvying up in large field stuff, like sprinkle in a little TJ over your Ty Jerome shares, and I like that. Anything else at point guard worth mentioning?
Don't believe so. I think we've covered it now. Like, yeah, I don't even want to mention any other names. It's Jerome if you're going cheap, and then now that we have the Indy news, I think the pivot is McConnell. You don't need to mess around with anything else.
Let's go to shooting guard. We have Kyrie 9K. Donovan Mitchell is going to garner some ownership. Let's check where he is. Yeah, he's the 3rd highest rostered shooting guard of the day right now. Trey Murphy, Jaylen Brown. There's obvious Boston news that we're kind of awaiting here. What piques your interest atop the shooting guard position here, Keith?
Mitchell is fine with Cleveland shorthanded. I don't love the matchup, but we've seen Spida go for 50 plus, 55 plus in any matchup. So he's definitely in play. Jaylen Brown is, if we don't get Tatum news before lock, I will be well over the field on what Jaylen Brown's ownership is currently projected at, just because if Tatum is out, Brown is one of the best values on the entire slate. It's an awesome matchup against Chicago, another team that plays really fast and plays bad defense. So I want Jaylen Brown in, and he's a fine play if Tatum is in. He's one of the best plays on the slate if Tatum is out.
I think the way that you just worded that is perfectly, because you use the word value, and I think people would assume that like, oh, well, Jaylen Brown's 7,600. He's not a value. Well, Jaylen Brown without Jason Tatum is about 3,000 too cheap. And with Tatum, he's probably still under 8K too cheap. So like, it's a really good spot, and it's a 7:30 game. I assume we'd get the news, but like
7:01.
The way that NBA reporting has gone the past 2 days, I'm looking at you, Atlanta. Right at you, Atlanta. That anything is possible. So, yeah, I think Jaylen Brown is what stands out to me. I agree on the Donovan Mitchell point. Donovan Mitchell tonight, let me say it like this, is my third favorite Cav. How about that? And my favorite Cav, we haven't even talked about yet. We'll get to him at a later position. I'm excited because I saw his ownership, and that was the first person I plugged into my lineup. So we'll get to him in a couple positions. That obviously means Ty Jerome is not number one either. Let's go down the rest of the list here. McCollum, we talked about. I think Norm has not. Kawhi got 28 minutes. Norm said, okay, bet. I'll just be more efficient than normal. He was great, as always. You can always play Norm Powell. Jamal Murray, we talked about. Monk, we talked about. When we dip below $7,000, there was a lot of people playing D'Angelo Russell earlier. I see that ownership has completely fallen off a cliff. I also agree with the ownership falling off a cliff. I'm not necessarily in at 6,600. You can get there in tournaments. John has loved talking about the Knicks guards lately, or wings, I should say. Bridges, we'll get to OG and Josh Hart. Do you think Mikal Bridges can continue his assault on the Nets here? And I don't mean that Brooklyn. I mean that in like the literal sense.
The fixtures, yes.
Yeah, the fixtures.
I do. I don't think the price is quite high enough for his upside here recently. And we talked about the game environment, and that's primarily why I have the interest here. It would surprise no one if Bridges played 38 minutes in this spot.
No.
We know Tibbs loves to run his guys in a close, tight, contested game. That's especially the spots we're looking for when these minutes could really spike. So Bridges, 38 to 40 minutes, entirely possible. And he's been shooting great recently, which is what we need. I'm in at that price.
Agreed. Same thing. We can go right back to the low with Oubre as well, right? Basically the same team, minutes, great, productions, points, rebound. I mean, he's been super solid with everybody out.
Yep, absolutely. Needs to make his shots, of course. He's been rebounding better than he has in the past, so that's a nice boost as a guy who has been dependent on scoring recently. But yeah, great situation for him.
Yeah, 15 potentials over the last 3 games. So like the potentials, the rebounds have been there. So you love to see that. Rest of this tier, anything that stick out, or do you want to just go down to value?
Nothing sticking out to me. Nick Smith is a guy who I think has some ceiling if he can get hot shooting, but don't know if we need that on this slate. Let's go cheaper.
He's the highest rostered shooting guard. Obviously, I understand that is shooting guard, small forward based. Like his multi-position eligibility is as good as it gets. So like naturally, we're going to get a bump. I will say I have it in my notes here, and it's hard to like really quantify like how this plays out because it's such a small sample. Basically with everybody out that's out for Charlotte, 32% usage over a fantasy point per minute. But again, Nick Smith has barely played like legitimate minutes until the last 2 weeks. So it's hard to really quantify, but I found that interesting seeing a 32% usage rate on Nick Smith.
Yeah. I'm wondering if your second favorite Cav might possibly be at this position.
He is not.
Okay. Max Strus is somebody we should mention at least just because of the situation there. He's been extended once. We saw over 30 minutes.
Yep.
I assume he's in the starting lineup here today.
Yep.
If he gets hot shooting, he's certainly somebody who could put up points. So Max Strus is somebody I have interest in.
Yeah, and he lost the final 322 in Detroit due to blowout. So you put him at basically, almost 30 minutes in that game. So he would have hit 30 in back-to-back games. If Sam Merrill's out, I mean, there's legitimate case where it's like, okay, close game, he's making shots, he's gonna get extended into the 30s. And at least we know he can do it, right? We've now seen him be extended to 35. I do think Max Strus is really solid. Almost a fantasy point per minute. He's right under it with the guys that are out being out. Right below him, I want to highlight Bruce Brown. I do think, and I've said it to John a couple times, like he's the minutes he's really run good. Grady Dick has been in foul trouble in back-to-back games. He's run incredibly good. But that's great to know because Grady Dick is questionable for this game. So if Grady Dick doesn't play, there's a chance we just get Bruce Brown in the starting lineup. And obviously there's no limit. Would you be, if we get Grady Dick out, would you consider Bruce Brown to be one of the better values of the day?
Absolutely. Best matchup on the board. We love targeting Washington. And he's capable of playing 30 plus.
Yep.
And if Dick is out, I think you're going to get that. So absolutely.
Yeah. He's been really good per minute too. So like, they've won. Surprise, surprise. They've extended Bruce Brown and they've won 4 in a row. I think it's weird sometimes when good players start playing and then results flip the other direction. Anything else of note? Eric Gordon's been playing big minutes. He has actually been relatively solid. Bub Carrington is someone that like plays mid to high 20s. Is there anything else we need to talk about down here? I guess Merrill 34. If you mention Ben Shepherd, I'm gonna close your screen out and I'll do this show solo for the rest of the night.
How many shots? Two shots. Over under 2.5 shots.
Under. Even if it was 30 minutes, I'll take the under. Yeah, he is. I mean, the worst fantasy player in the world. I don't even care if he's starting. I don't care if he's starting. Okay, how about this? If they come out and tell us Aaron Nesmith has a 24 to 28 minute cap at 3,300.
At that range, I'm interested. I'm concerned that he won't play over 22. So if you're talking 24, 28, I'd be really interested. I think him being in the starting lineup would be necessary for him to hit that minutes projection. But yeah, Nesmith at 28 minutes, I'd be really interested. 24 minutes, I think, depending on what other news breaks and how different you need to be, I'm still interested.
Okay, I agree. I think 24 is probably the baseline I would need to see. I don't think there's anything else. So let's go to small forward. Jason Tatum is still listed questionable. We are still awaiting the news. He is somebody that generally plays through injury, but obviously he has not necessarily played entirely well lately. We will see on Tatum. We mentioned Scotty Barnes. He is a very good play. RJ is here, 78. Trey Murphy, Josh Hart listed questionable, but that's just so fake. He plays every game. We talked Jalen. We talked Norm. What stands out to you atop the small forward position, Keith? Anything?
I mean, Barnes would be my favorite if I was picking one.
Barnes and Brown, because Barnes and Brown, and we've already talked about both.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Brown. I prefer Brown over Tatum just because he's $2,000 cheaper.
Right.
Like I love the matchup against Chicago. Tatum coming in with the questionable tag, just give me Jaylen Brown. I don't think I need Tatum if he plays. If he's out, obviously Jaylen Brown becomes a massive part of a massive priority. I don't really have anything else to add. I don't think you need to spend up all that. I mean, you want some Scotty, and I think you want some RJ Barrett, but not priority plays for me.
Yeah, I do think the Toronto plays are obviously appealing just given the matchup. Even though the price is different, I prefer Scotty to RJ if I was picking between the two, but I have no problem getting to RJ Barrett. DeMar DeRozan, someone getting a lot of ownership. Obviously, this is just a weird situation in Sacramento in general because it's been such a teeter-totter of like, we're terrible, we fire our coach, we're great again with our interim, now we're losing again, now we're trading our best player. And like, you have to assume like if they're willing to trade Fox, they'd definitely be willing to trade DeMar DeRozan because you're not doing a rebuild with DeMar DeRozan. At least I don't think. I mean, he did spend time in Chicago, so that's something. Do you set about 18% over or under the field or even with the field at 18% DeMar DeRozan tonight?
I like the matchup. I think other players have higher upside than DeRozan on Sacramento, and I'm talking Fox and Malik Monk even. Sabonis obviously has as much or more ceiling. I don't think he's a priority play for me, and that ownership, like if he was 8%, yeah, I'd have a little bit more interest, but at double-digit ownership, I don't think I need to target him today.
Yeah, I think honestly, the position kind of stinks. So,
Fair. Yeah.
and the position stinks, and he's the cheapest he's been all year. And I think those are the only two reasons you can really give with like definitive force, be like, this is the reason why DeMar DeRozan's the second highest rostered small forward of the day, because the highest rostered is Josh Okogie in the year 2025. So like, tells you all you need to know about small forward today, right? OG is another guy John has been talking about it, and I don't disagree. He has been really good on both ends of the floor. Does he continue it against Denver here?
He could. Again, it's the same. It's the game environment and minutes that I am interested in. So I don't hate him. He doesn't stand out to me today. It's a weak position. So going in the mid range is fair. I think going even cheaper today is my preferred route. So targeting guys like Strus and Bruce Brown that we talked about at shooting guard also have small forward eligibility. I'm probably spending down mostly if I'm not getting to Jaylen Brown or Scotty Barnes at this position. But he's totally fine today. Nothing bad to say about OG.
Do you have only good things or bad things to say about Josh Okogie?
I mean, I don't know. I
that is literally, dude, your reaction has been me with Josh Okogie for a week. I don't understand.
Yeah, he's probably going to see mid-20s minutes today. His situation is great. Like, there's nobody left on Charlotte, so somebody's got to score. That could be Okogie for sure. What do we have his projected ownership at? That's key. I probably just play him with the field and forget about it. I like my pivots with Strus and Brown in this same price tier, so I'd rather go overweight on them than Okogie is kind of how I'm seeing it right now.
He is 35%. He is the third highest rostered player of the day.
I'll be at or below his projected ownership.
Oh boy. He probably starts. Yep. You know, if you look at the way that their lineup is, Micic, Bridges, Taj Gibson, because they hate fun. They're going to start Taj and then give Diabate all the minutes. Nick Smith, and then the fifth starter is probably Okogie, right? Like, it's Okogie or Seth Curry. I
think that's
one
right.
of the like. Oh God, it's gross. John's on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube here, chiming in saying Okogie is in Charlotte. This is the Charlotte version. Well, buddy, let me tell you something. He has a 13% usage rate in Charlotte, and he's still producing. So like, that part has the usage hasn't changed. Like, he's still is a guy. He has a 13% usage since joining the team. It's not like that's changed. He has 3+ steals in every game he's played in. He has a 10 rebound game in there. I mean, man, I get it. I do. I get it. I do. But I'm gonna find a way not to play him. I'm gonna probably find a way not to play him because
I think because the pivots in the price range are so strong in Strus and Bruce Brown that we've already talked about. Like, I don't think that Okogie is a lock to outscore those two guys.
Agreed.
And if he's going to be 3 times as rostered as them, then why I'm playing one of the other two.
Yeah, and if Grady Dick gets ruled out, I think Bruce Brown. I mean, Bruce Brown has the better eligibility, is in the better matchup, and now we're on the same playing field of like almost guaranteed minutes, right? So I agree. I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna find a way not to play him. I don't care if this is the Josh Okogie of Charlotte. He's still the same Josh Okogie. He's another Keyshawn George ownership day. There is such a low floor with Keyshawn George. There is such a low floor. Are you entertaining this one, or?
Not really. Especially if Grady Dick is ruled out, then there's no chance because Bruce Brown, he's going to be on par with the Okogie like value projection.
Keith, don't worry about it. We don't even talk about it. Grady Dick is out.
There you go.
Grady Dick out. Kelly Olynyk out. So they are with IQ, Olynyk, and Bruce Brown tonight. Bruce Brown, that is a legitimate chance. Now, we've also seen Darko do some weird things. We could see like Jacoby Walter start after a DMP last game, and that would not be surprising. But you have to assume Bruce Brown is extended either way, even if he's not starting. I couldn't say enough good things about Bruce Brown now that Grady Dick is ruled out here. So thank God I don't have to play Josh Okogie tonight. That's wonderful. Let's go to power forward, where we have Tatum. Look, I have been on record of just saying like I'm okay with the Zion minutes being what the Zion minutes are.
I mean, if he's going to hit 32% usage, then of course.
It does not matter, dude. It just doesn't matter. Is this another day where you're just looking at Zion and being like, he's going to be low owned. He's going to probably play 26 to 27 minutes. But man, we're in for a good time, not a long time.
Scenario, right? It's been a great time. I was light on the 32% usage.
Right.
I was just looking up his recent numbers. We're talking more like 35 to 40% usage over his last 3 games. So it's been absolutely insane. You talked about the ownership being attractive. I'm not scared of the Dallas matchup. So yeah, I'm totally in on Zion.
Totally in on Zion. I got him at 1% the other day. Man, it's really rising. It's about 2 today, so it's doubled. It's doubled from last slate. You can't believe that. Yeah, I totally like Zion. It is a very interesting tier, okay? Because we have arrived to my favorite Cleveland play of the day, and we have Zion. We have Miles Bridges, who is definitively the chalk play of this tier. Like Siakam's ownership has skyrocketed as well, but then we have Evan Mobley. Break down this slate and tell me why Evan Mobley is the best play, so my ego's filled a little bit. Okay, I'm just kidding. Who's your favorite play of this tier? It doesn't have to be Mobley. Just speak from the heart.
I'm interested on what you have to say about it.
Okay.
Like Bam is probably on Allen. Maybe that's your thinking there, and there's not enough size on the Miami side outside of that. In just from a top-down view, Cleveland-Miami doesn't sound like a great matchup. Obviously, Cleveland dealing with a ton of injuries, so the usage is going to go way up for Evan Mobley. So, you tell me what you got on Evan Mobley.
Okay, I was Jack Nicholson. Yes, Jack Nicholson. yes, like the beam. I was giving that to you right there. Okay, Evan Mobley. Just looking at my notes here. Evan Mobley, Sands, Garland, LeVert, Okoro, Wade. Okay, 29% usage. It's a 6% usage bump, which is 3x everybody else on the team. 1.58 fantasy points per minute this year. That is over 0.3 anybody else on the team. Jared Allen is second at 0.12. I do think that there's obviously when you look at Miami, they have a good front court in terms of defense. Like now that they are playing Khalil Ware, it is a lengthy, wiry front court. I mean, Ware can jump out of a gym. Bam's super athletic, can guard every position. But the Garland news hasn't budged Cleveland's implied total. It's still 117 points. There is a massive leap in usage. There is a massive leap in fantasy points per minute to one guy specifically when Darius Garland is out. And it's this guy. It's not Donovan Mitchell, because Donovan Mitchell is just who he is. And no one's playing him. Everyone's playing Miles Bridges. And we've seen these spots where Miles Bridges just plays 31 minutes in a competitive game. And you're like, why did Miles Bridges just play 31 minutes in a competitive game? And we've seen Pascal Siakam be passive Siakam and not be, the aggressive version. Zion's obviously at a limit. Bam has obviously been better. That's aided by double overtime, but the Bam stuff has been really up and down. I think we get full run out of Mobley now that we've been back for a few games since injury. And I just think that all the numbers with the shorthandedness of Cleveland, I'm taking a shot on a low-owned Evan Mobley in tournaments today.
I love it. Makes a ton of sense. The low-owned part is especially intriguing not many people are digging that deep to find where the ownership goes, or the usage goes rather, when these guys are ruled out, and finding that little nugget on Mobley is outstanding. Don't care what the matchup is if the guy is underpriced for what his role is going to be.
Correct.
And he definitively gets a role boost with Garland out.
Right. So I mean, look, I'm not going to tell anybody not to play Bridges. I understand it's another hey, everyone's out situation. You can play me, right? Not going to tell anyone not to go to Siakam. There's 2 starters down. He's been good, coming off a really good game in Paris. If you weren't playing Mobley, if I'm out of my mind and you just removed my bias aside, who would be your guy in this tier if you had to pick one?
I love the Mobley call. Josh Hart is carrying a questionable tag. We know he has triple-double upside.
Yep.
We love this game environment. I think he's going to come in under 10% more than likely. So I don't mind some tournament shots on Josh Hart.
Yeah, I like that as well. Mobley in cash, I would say he's definitely good in all formats. I think Bridges and Siakam are the 2 guys that are going to be super high owned in cash games. But if you want to play Evan Mobley in any format, Evan Mobley to the moon tonight. Mobley is my favorite cap to Prince. We'll get to some questions and some comments. Watch Seth Curry drop 30 and kill my lineups. Well, if he drops 30 and kills your lineups, he'll be killing everybody's lineups as well, because no one's gonna play Seth Curry. Is Pirtle a lock at center? Anthony will get to that at center. Mohawked Justin said suddenly you can get some sick ownership on 76ers value if we get the Caleb news at 701. It's also true. Nick Nurse, definitely someone that will drop some late nuggets for us. So we'll see what we get there. Bruce Brown over Christian Brown.
Yes.
Agreed. Totally agree. What about Mobley and Cash? All right, we're caught up. Let's go down to the rest of power forward. PJ Washington coming off an absolute nuke that got ruined based on a 100-point game that they beat Washington by. We have Kawhi extended to 28 minutes. We have Kuzma, Yabusele, Michael Porter. Anything in that range stand out, or is it just going up or going all the way down?
I think up and down is mostly how I'm playing this. I don't hate Yabusele. We've seen him show off a ceiling in these additional minutes he's been getting. The other name, if you're looking super large field tournament dart, Keegan Murray. We talked about this Kings situation. What if they just rest DeRozan or something, and Murray gets way more usage than he's been seeing? He's the young guy. He's not going anywhere. They're looking like they might blow it up. We've seen a ceiling out of him recently. I don't hate that as a super large field tournament dart.
Yeah, boy, what a weird career he has had. He's only in his 3rd year. He made 200 plus 3-pointers as a rookie, and then it's just been you just have no sense of where he is. But he has been largely for a month playing better. So I don't hate that call at all. We can play Okogie here. In terms of ownership, man, every time you and I have done a show, Obi Toppin has come back into our lives. I don't necessarily know if the Nembhard Mathurin news really helps Obi Toppin, but what is your take on Obi Toppin with the latest news?
He was not one of the names that I immediately thought of with those 2 names ruled out. They just never extend him as much as we want them to. If he gets the run, we know he's great, but they don't give him the run. And I don't think those 2 guys being out warrants him getting additional run in this game. So I'm not super interested there.
Right. Because they don't use him at small forward.
Right.
They
it's going to be easy.
Yeah. And we know Carlisle's infatuation with Shepherd. So it's going to be those 2. Obviously the Nesmith, limit will hurt, but also they'll just probably dust off Jarius Walker and play him as the backup. So he is pretty popular tonight. I'm a little indifferent about it. And usually I'm the first person to bang the Obi Toppin drum. Like I love playing Obi Toppin, but it is. I think those are not the two guys we needed out for Obi Toppin to be extended. I think we need more front court presence for Obi Toppin to be extended. Maybe we're both wrong, and Obi Toppin goes off, but he is getting ownership, so I definitely had to bring it up. Carlucci mentioned it. I mean, if Caleb Martin is ruled out, do we go back to the Justin Edwards well? He wasn't great last night. He wasn't bad. I mean, he 6x'd at $3,800. Now, did he score a basket and get a rebound under 30 seconds left to get us there? He may have. I mean, but that doesn't matter. That it all counts the same. Would we be okay going back to the Edwards well if we get the news that Caleb Martin's out?
If Martin is out, I'm okay with it. I do think there's really strong value in for just a little bit more in the 4K range. Bruce Brown is somebody we've talked about frequently. I think that's a stronger play, but if you're looking to differentiate your lineup in some way, I don't hate Justin Edwards at all if Martin is out.
Oh yeah, Caleb Martin ruled out 7 minutes ago. I see this.
There we go.
I'm a bad host. Okay, just say it. Everyone just yell at me. I see everyone yelling at me in the chat. Okay, I get it. Blame John for this. Yeah, Chris Boucher. He's awesome. How much Toronto is too much Toronto?
Boucher is somebody I'm extremely interested in.
Agreed.
We never know how many minutes he's going to play, but we know another guy who's out there for a good time, not a long time.
Correct.
Massive producer when he's out there. Toronto being as shorthanded as they are, the best matchup on the board. I love Chris Boucher tonight.
Dude, it is funny. It looks like if I were to put that in like a dictionary, like good time, not a long time, and like put it in NBA terms.
Boy.
He is literally the poster boy, like running up and down the floor. He looks like he's having so much fun, and he's just a maniac all the time when he's out there. So I agree. I think Chris Boucher is definitely in play in most formats. Obviously, he works best in tournaments. But I wonder now that we have like that news after the Indiana news, I wonder what his ownership versus Obi Toppin's ownership is going to be, because Toppin's, they're the same position. Toppin's $500 cheaper. But we just haven't seen the update with the Toronto news hit yet. So I wonder what their ownership is going to be if Boucher absorbs most of that Toppin stuff. Let's go to center, unless you had something else in power forward.
No, I think we covered plenty there. And center, okay. There's a lot to talk about here too.
Yes, this is the toughest position on the board, I think. And it's not even, I don't think I just think that is what it is, because we'll start backwards here. There's two values that are absorbing all the ownership. Jonas Valanciunas, $5,400. Alex Sarr has been ruled out today. And then there's Moussa Diabate, who is $3,700. Although he is not going to start, most likely. They did this the other day against New Orleans. He played 29 minutes and he smashed. Those two are 38% for Diabate and 27% in terms of Valanciunas are soaking up, 50+% ownership tonight at center. Let me ask you, are you even or under or above on both? And how many like, if you're playing 150 lineups, how much of both guys are you going to have in the two center lineups?
I think you made an awesome point right there at the end. How much of both is going to be extremely minimal, but I want to be overweight on both. I think a lot of people will start by plugging these two guys into their lineup.
Correct.
If you use only one, and then we're going to talk about a ton of awesome center options right after these two guys that are going to be way lower rostered than they should be because of this strong value. But by building your lineup with only one of these guys and not using both, I think you can gain a massive advantage on the field.
Who's your preference if you had to pick?
Diabate is so cheap that I think he's the guy. He's also not going to be confirmed in the starting lineup, like you mentioned, which will give people pause. They're going to start Taj Gibson, and he's not going to play over 20 minutes. That's just, they've done it 6 or 7 times this year.
Yep.
So Diabate not being in the starting lineup, I think holds his ownership lower than it even should be. He'd be my preference.
Agreed. So let's go. We'll go, since we're working backwards, we'll go back up. This is the lowest rostership of the year, flatly, for Nikola Jokic. Flatly, the lowest ownership he's been all year. He has 12%. You have 5 times on this show said that this game is the best game on the board. We're going to want exposure. I sit up here and say anything under $13,000 on DraftKings is simply too cheap for Nikola Jokic every single show. Is it a spot you'd be looking, and you're a large field tournament player, so like correct. I know that this is sweet spot. You get the best player in the NBA at 12% rostership.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're over the field at 12%.
Oh, like 3 times over the field.
Yeah,
like,
I'm assuming you're just over the field. Yeah.
This is exactly why you don't play Valanciunas and Diabate in the same lineup, is so that you can get way over the field on Nikola Jokic. Like, this is the dream tournament spot. And maybe he comes in higher than he's projected. Oftentimes, like, these popular players end up higher owned than the algorithm or whatever would spit out for an ownership projection. So even if you say he's 15 to 18%, I still want to be at least double that. Like I'm still playing a ton of Jokic. In a tight game. If it's going to stay close, he's going to play upper 30s minutes, and that gives him a chance at 80 fantasy points. And I want to take as many shots at that as I can. 100 fantasy points. I probably
100. I know, dude. You're selling him. He literally went for 100 3 games ago.
Yeah.
And he also played 40 minutes last game. And in that game, and I was when I was going through my notes, they cut DeAndre Jordan out of the rotation and went back to that where they used to do the old Aaron Gordon at center, backup center minutes. That's live here because Precious Achiuwa is your backup center. So if you're getting like limited Gordon and 40-minute Jokic, I am also going to be overweight. And, I think people understand that, like, I am partial to Jokic every slate because how can you not be if in competitive games he just nukes slates? So I 100% agree. I am also going to be overweight on Jokic. What about Wemby? What about Sabonis? Like, what's your interest in those two guys?
So I think they're awesome.
Yep.
Sabonis, I'm showing a little bit more ownership than I would prefer. I do love the matchup against Philly, but at that ownership number, I can't gain an edge on the field by going overweight, especially if I'm trying to get well over on Jokic. So I'll be slightly under on Sabonis, not something that I love and not by a choice. Like, Sabonis is amazing, has legitimate upside, but not somebody I'm getting to today. Wemby, again, it's the Jokic thing that's causing me problems here. I love the ownership number on him. I don't love the matchup as much. So Jokic is my guy. That's going to make me not be able to take a stand on Wemby as Sabonis as much of one as I would like to anyway.
Yeah, and I think there is nothing wrong playing any of the top 4 guys, including Towns.
Right.
So, Towns has a great matchup him in his own right. He needs to stay out of foul trouble, but he's.
Just one more time, I want to point out the strategy thing that we talked about. If you're playing one of these 4 guys, you're doing it right in tournaments today.
Okay.
So much of the field is paying down twice at center. If you do not do that, you are gaining a massive advantage on the field. So I pick your favorite. I don't care who it is. They all have amazing upside. They're some of the best fantasy players in the game.
Yep.
If you're playing one of them 4, you're doing it right.
Yeah, I think the Jokic, I would say more likely correlation is Jokic, Wemby, Diabate, and Sabonis, Towns, Valanciunas. It's more balanced, I would say. Yep. If not that you have to do it that way, but people who are playing Jokic probably are also playing Diabate. And I when you were answering Valanciunas or Diabate, I was answering the same way because I'm also playing Jokic. So that's just the correlation that I had. Now I think the mid tier is also
loaded.
There's some really good options that are just going to fall by the wayside here. Just got a massive ownership update. Chris Boucher did take all of Obi Toppin's ownership, which, surprise, surprise. I think people are smart and understand how good Chris Boucher is per minute. So all of that ownership is now in his hand. Nobody went to the Bruce Brown route, by the way. So that is, love that as well. But in the mid tier, Ivica Zubac, 7,500. He has a massive ceiling. Daniel Gafford has been absolutely incredible since Derek Lively has gone down. Porzingis, we just got word from Joe Mazzulla. Tatum, Horford, Hauser, all game time decisions. So it doesn't look like we're going to get that anytime soon. So we could see KP against Chicago without Tatum, without Horford. Could be a ceiling minutes game for Porzingis. Jakob Poeltl in a great spot against Washington. Washington has no chance against any bigs. And Alex, a good shot blocker, not there. Miles Turner, 6,100, getting a lot of ownership, really good play. It's a really good mid-tier. It's just unfortunate that they're running into the rest of the guys that they're positioned with, right?
Yes, but that's exactly why I can't go like 80% Valanciunas, is because I want exposure to this range in a big way. You mentioned Poeltl. He's the clear standout in this range, and he's not going to be super low owned, but he's going to be way lower owned than he would be on a different slate where we didn't have all this value at center. Like it is the nut matchup. Washington gives up a ton of points in the paint. Poeltl was back over 30 minutes last game, and when he's been over 30 minutes this season, he's absolutely crushed. It's just an awesome matchup, an awesome spot for Poeltl. Jarrett Allen is another guy that could flash a ceiling without Garland there, could find a few extra shots here. Certainly don't mind that. You mentioned Porzingis. If Tatum is out, that's a guy you're going to want exposure to in this matchup with Chicago, another team that gives up a ton of points in the paint.
Yeah.
Gafford's been awesome, like you said. It's just Zubac has been playing over 30 minutes every night. Like it's a loaded range. There's a ton of upside here, and all of their ownership is lower than it should be because of the value at the position.
Is there anything else? Do we even need to mention? Is there? I'm looking at we didn't really talk Valanciunas much, and he is obviously super elite per minute, undoubtedly super elite. But
I just think there's more risk there than I'm. Okay, like if the field's going to flock to him at 35-40%, there's a better chance than that he could get into foul trouble. They could just not use him on the what if he only plays 18 minutes in this spot? Like we've seen it before.
Yes.
For no reason. They're okay going small. You do have Poeltl on the other side, so I think that's a less of a risk than it is in most games. But I think there's a stronger chance than the field believes that Valanciunas will not hit a ceiling today.
Let's just answer some questions, and then we'll hand out a core, like a kind of a core here. Let's go back. Where were we? Do you like Obi Toppin tonight, Josh? I think we answered that. I think we're kind of indifferent on Obi Toppin, especially with Chris Boucher and Toronto value now being available. Do we trust RJ Barrett? Says Anthony.
Trust him to. Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why wouldn't we trust RJ Barrett? Yes.
Yeah.
Is he going to get 50? I don't know. Is he going to get 35? Yes.
Yeah.
He has a strong floor, I would say.
Strong floor. Sam Merrill, if he plays, or Aaron Nesmith, asks Josh.
That's a good question. I think both guys have paths to a ceiling. I'd lean slightly to Nesmith, but it's close.
Long term, who gets Paul George minutes? I would say Justin Edwards would be the guy now, right? Bridges or Oubre tonight? Asks Michael. That's a FanDuel question. I don't know if you're, or just player, first player.
I hate just answering 1v1s without context because Oubre is going to be more popular. He's he's going to project better. But if you need differentiation, I certainly don't hate Bridges at all. So I prefer Oubre in a vacuum, but if you need differentiation, Bridges is totally fine.
On FanDuel, Bridges is actually more higher.
Okay.
And like you said, there's no context there. We just know Michael as he's a FanDuel guy. So
gotcha. If Oubre is lower owned than Bridges, I'm assuming they're the same price on FanDuel or very close to it.
Bridges is 77. Kelly Oubre is 72.
Yeah, give me Oubre there with lower ownership and save a little bit of money.
Sabonis has monster opportunity. You are correct. Any interest in Omax Prosper tonight?
I don't think you need to get that cute tonight. There's value all over the place.
He ran incredibly good in blowout. I think there's pretty good value. I don't think we need to go there. I agree. Is Victor a good pivot off Joker? We kind of answered that. The Prince says Jokic season, agreed. Vooch, no Levine. Yeah, he's fine, right? I mean, the price is but he's fine.
The matchup is also, but
the matchup is yeah. The matchup is
center's loaded. There's lots of reasons to argue against it. The main reason to argue for it would be the ownership number. Like nobody's playing him.
Yeah, you'd be the only one playing Vooch tonight. So
Yep.
like if he goes for 65, well, you're the only one moving up the board with 65. Not sure if you guys answered it, but would you play Bruce Brown and Strus over Ty Jerome?
Over? No. I think Strus as a Jerome pivot is totally fine. So if you were playing Bruce and Strus or Brown and Strus in the same lineup and foregoing Jerome, I think that's totally fine. But if I was ranking the plays, it's Jerome, Brown, Strus in that order.
I agree on the order as well. I think that's a perfect order. And then Dez with the final question, utility, which, Josh Okogie or Musa Diabate?
I would go Diabate there. I think there's less risk. Center position is usually like he's going to get mid-20s minutes. He's live in a lot more stat categories than Okogie is.
Agreed. All right, let's get a lineup put together here, Keith. Or we could just, you know what? We're running behind. Let's put together a core for the people. Okay, we'll just put together a core of 4 guys that we like that we would build around. Because I think sometimes, we're building an example lineup, but also I think building a core will just help set the people up for what's to come. So I think both of us will just simply plug this man, Ty Jerome, right? We'll plug Jerome in. Do you want to, as a core principle for me tonight, I was double centering with the approach that we were talking about.
Yep.
Do you want a Jokic Diabate? Like, I think that's probably the decision that I would do. We'll play Musa in here, and we'll play Jokic in the Uto spot. We still have $5,900, and this is where I think like you don't need to like the Omax Prospers in the world. Like if you're playing Jokic, like, you don't need to get cute and do like all that kind of stuff. Like you can just simply play normal players. Yeah,
I totally agree. Like Boucher would be a lock for me. Diabate, we've already got in there.
Let's all right, then let's do Boucher, and we'll leave the people with this as a core. $6,400 for the remaining positions here. Feels really good. Ty Jerome, Chris Boucher, Musa Diabate, Nikola Jokic, and for all those that have been watching, thank you and thanks for tuning in. And as always, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel, please. But like, this is going against the norm, and this is a solid tournament approach tonight because the field is just doing this and moving on.
Yep.
The field is doing this and moving on, right? They're just plugging Valanciunas and Diabate and moving on. So if you are building a core to be different in tournaments, both Keith and I agree. I think Jokic is the pivot there.
Yep. And even if you do that, and that's going to be a fairly popular combination, that's when you go to somebody like your Evan Mobley play, where then you are just completely differentiated. That's an awesome tournament lineup. Agreed.
Keith, thank you very much for filling in today. John really just set you up on an island, but as always, you came through. I have 7 strong innings today, honestly. No earned runs, a couple hits here and there, but no earned. And you just love to see it. So thank you very much for tuning in. We'll be back with a pre-show tomorrow, live stream at 5 Eastern for the Thursday. So I think 5 games on the Thursday main slate. Already some news coming out for Thursday as well. So big shouts to everyone in the chat. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.